I'm Emmett. This is your cue to say who you are.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
Hi, I'm Sheila Lewis.
Great. We have a protest from the screen from Yellow Peril against Blue Horizon in a race today. Well, we'll assume it's today. And what I propose we do is we're going to need somebody to be the scribe. So I always say that and then never volunteer to do it. So who wants to be the scribe?
I don't mind. I can be scribe.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Great. Okay, thanks. I don't know whether either of you have got one of the hearing checklists in front of you.
No, I haven't.
Like that. But what I'll do is I'll keep the checklist beside me, and I'll try and kick myself. Usually I give the checklist to somebody else. So one person is scribing, one person has the checklist in front of them and kicks the chairman and reminds them, okay, look, you're missing something here. Don't forget to ask that question. And then at the end of it, it's just a sanity check that we follow the procedure. So if it goes to an appeal, that we follow the procedure and what we do is valid. So we assume that the protest has been scheduled and posted. I think we're taking that as done. Are any of us, before we invite people in, are any of us interested parties?
Nope.
No, we've no material interest in the outcome. We're not an international jury. It's a protest committee. And the contents of the protest, does it identify a protestor and a protestee?
It does.
We're happy with that. Okay. And has it identified an incident of some shape or form?
Yes, it seems to be.
Whether it's right or wrong, as long as it identifies something. And we have two parties available. We know that. And again, before they start, and I'll ask this question in front of the protestor and the protestee: did any of us see the incident?
No.
No.
No. Okay. Good. Right. And so I think we'll bring in our protestor and protestee. Are we happy that we go ahead and do that? Have any questions? If we look, if you have the rule book in front of you, Appendix M from Michael is a good place to start. So if you have that in front of you as well, that might actually be how you kick me in the shins to remind me I've missed something. So I don't know how we do that online, but try it anyway.
I think we can chat, can't we?
Oh, we can. Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Okay. But if I miss something, remind me. Even virtual kick. Okay, so I think we'll invite in our two parties.
Okay, I'll get them in now.
Right. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Right, gentlemen, we have a protest between Yellow Peril and Blue Horizon. So, which of you is Yellow Peril?
I think that's me, yeah. Me, yeah. Me. I'm Yellow
He
Peril.
doesn't even know what boat he's on, look.
That's a good start.
They go horribly wrong.
Okay, Daniel, we'll take it then that you're Blue Horizon.
Yes, I'm Blue Horizon.
Okay, very good. Try and remember that as we go along. Okay, very good. We'll introduce ourselves and we'll explain how the protest will take place and the procedure will follow. And if there's at any stage, if you don't understand what we're doing, if you haven't been in a protest before, for example, or you just think we're going a little bit too fast, then just stop us and ask us to repeat that or something like that. Okay, so don't let us carry on if you're not happy with what we're doing or if you just don't understand it. All right. So the first thing we'll do is we'll introduce ourselves. So over here is.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
Hi, I'm Sheila.
And I'm Emmett Dalton. Do either of you have any objections to the three of us being part of this panel?
No.
Okay, very good. Okay, so we'll tick that off. So we're following a checklist here. You can't see it, but it's a standard checklist. It's an aid memoir as opposed to a must-have. It's good. Now, I've asked the other members of the panel before you came in whether either or all of us had seen the incident, and none of us have. All right, just so you know that. Have you had a time to read the protest form?
Yes.
You have, so you're happy. You've had time to do that. Okay.
Yep.
You don't need time to extend. No. Okay. Before we go any further, does anybody do you want to withdraw the protest, or have you a reason to withdraw the protest?
No.
Okay. And again, before we go much further, did either of you take a penalty?
I didn't.
No.
No. Okay. Right. Okay, I have to pull this form up in front of me to see what's happened here. Okay. Jonathan, can you tell the protest panel how you informed the protestee?
Yeah, immediately after the incident, I hailed protest as loud as I could while I was within hailing distance of him, and then I flew my red flag.
Okay. How long can you tell us how long it took you to say protest?
It was probably 5 or 7 seconds just after I dealt with bearing away. You know, immediately after that, as soon as I safely borne away, then I hailed it.
Okay. And you displayed a flag, you said?
Yeah.
From where did you display the flag?
I flew it up the backstay as high as I could get it up, at 2.5 meters above the deck.
Okay. And is that where the flag is normally kept? How long did it take you to pop the flag out?
Probably took me another. So I was on the wheel at the time, so I had to ask one of my crewmen to release the flag. So it probably took him, and we do keep it on the backstay. So it probably took him another 5 seconds after I'd hailed.
Okay. And did the flag stay flying for the duration of the race?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Daniel, are you happy that Jonathan displayed the flag?
Yes, I saw him displaying his flag. I wasn't really sure why he was displaying it, but I did hear him shout protest as well.
Okay, very good. All right. Thanks. Right, protest panel. Are we happy that the protest is valid?
Yes.
Have we any
Yes.
doubts that we'd like the guys to go out, or are we happy to go ahead?
Happy.
Okay, so in that case, gents, we have a valid protest, and now we can discuss the incident. So here's how this is going to work. Protestor will give his evidence, and then the protestee. Okay, please don't interrupt each other. We can interrupt you because we're super important people, but don't interrupt each other. And if you're interrupting each other, we will stop you. And just so we give each other a bit of a chance. We can ask questions when we like, but we might decide we'd like to hold our questions to the end rather than leading your questions. When you bring in a witness, if you're bringing in a witness, please don't lead your witness because we'll stop you straight away. Or please don't ask one or another leading questions. So don't say something like, do you remember when you did such and such? Please ask a question, did you do, or what did you do? Something like that. We'll know what's going on. So, and Daniel, you might just pop that pint outside because none of us are drinking. So if you could just pop that outside, thanks. And if you turn off your phones, unless you need them for evidence or something like this, at least put them to silent. So there we are. So are you happy enough with the process so far?
Yep.
Good. Okay, Mr. Protest or Jonathan, knock yourself out.
Yeah, so we were sailing this afternoon in the cruisers class in a Wednesday evening race, and the incident occurred when we were around halfway up the beat. So I was sailing close forward. I was on starboard tack. I was the right away vessel, and my colleague Blue Horizon was on port tack, also sailing close forward. I think basically he misjudged that he was going across ahead of me, And so I hailed starboard when I was around 2 boat lengths away from him. Nothing changed. I hailed it again when I was around 1 boat length away, and then at the final instant, when I was around half a boat length away from him, I was still pointing at his midships. I, at that stage, realised that there was a substantial risk of collision, and I needed to take action. So I called for an ease on the main and bore away to go round the back of him. So from my perspective, I was misjudged crossing ahead of me. I was forced to take avoiding action despite being the right of way boat, and therefore infringed me on. That's all I'd like to say.
Okay. I have a question to ask both of you, actually, which I should have asked before this. Can you tell us roughly how strong the wind was and what sea state was?
It was around 12 knot breeze. I was sort of sailing 6 to 7 knot range while I was close hauled. I don't really remember what the sea state was doing.
Okay. Daniel, are you happy with the wind strength?
Yeah, I would say it's probably about half a metre, something like that. Would you agree? I think it was around about that. It wasn't massive.
Okay. Good. All right. Daniel, would you like to tell us your side of the story, please?
Sure. So I was coming in, I'd spotted, I was on port tack. In fact, if I share my screens with you, I should be able to demonstrate. You see that? So unfortunately, I've got the boats around the wrong way. So blue should have been me. So I'm actually illustrating here that I'm yellow. So I was coming in, I'd spotted him nice and early that he was on the starboard. I was keeping a track of where he was going. He was aligned with my shrouds to begin with. And gradually he was drifting further and further back. So I was easily going to pass ahead of him. That transit was changing quite rapidly as I was approaching. And I saw no risk of me actually not being able to pass ahead. I'd say probably 5 meters, 6 meters, I would have been ahead of him. And as is quite common for him and his Hollywood antics, he just bore away hard and completely unnecessarily, I believe, just to try and cause chaos. He's done it a number of times before, but I firmly believe I was easily going to pass ahead of him, as I say, with the transit. I was using, and fellow crew members at no point had an issue that they thought we were going to be on a collision course.
Okay. Protest. Is that the end of what you want to say? I'm not asking.
Yes, I think at the minute, yeah.
Okay. Right. Would you like to ask Jonathan any questions about his evidence, Daniel?
So what kind of distance did you think that you were going to pass? Did you think you were going to pass behind me? Did you think it was going to be close?
Yeah, from my perspective, at the point I initiated the bear away, it was clear to me at the helm that that there would be a glide with you.
I think your sound is breaking up there a little bit, Jonathan. I'll tell you what we might do for a second. If we all go on, turn off our video and just see, does it make any difference? It might not. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. Okay, do you want to run that through us again? So I think if you could just repeat the question, Daniel, please.
So don't you think you were going to pass around about 5 meters behind, or do you think it was going to be closer?
Daniel, I'm going to stop you there because you've asked a leading question, which is, don't you think X, Y, Z? What is your question?
So what kind of distance do you think you were going to pass behind me?
Yeah, I mean, so as I only initiated my action to bear away at the point where it became clear to me that there was going to be a collision. So I had to take a really significant bear away because I only initiated it within around half a boat length of you. And I passed, as I look back, after passing your stern, I think I was around a metre away, which for me, it kind of demonstrates the fact that, that was with a big bear away. That if I hadn't taken that bear away, that metre wouldn't have been there. I would have collided with you somewhere on your quarter.
Yeah, I'd have said the distance was significantly greater than that. The 1 metre you were saying about.
I think you might have already said that.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but you've already given a dimension. Do you have any more questions for Jonathan?
Not at the second, I don't think. No.
Okay. Jonathan, do you have any questions for Dan?
Yeah. So one of my questions is around that distance. So obviously I was helming the boat. So as I passed the stern of you, your stern was immediately to my right hand side. So I was in a really good position to observe that, and I estimated it at 1 metre. What was your position on the boat that you were able to estimate the distance from on your side?
So I was again helming at the wheel. So I had a good constant transit. I wasn't moving around the boat or anything. So it was relatively near to the stern. So at all points, as you were getting closer, I felt like you were behind me.
Okay. We might try the cameras again. I think the sound seems to have improved. If it doesn't improve, then so be it, but we'll try it. Okay. Now I have another question, which I think I should have asked at the beginning, just to clarify it. Both of your boats, now we discover, because it doesn't really say what size of boat it is in the protest form. We should have asked that at the beginning. I assume saying it was cruisers that we didn't have to worry about not displaying a flag. But my question is, given that you're both talking about being at the wheel, how big are these boats? How long in meters are these boats, roughly?
Mine's a 30 feet.
Okay. Daniel?
Yeah, and mine is 32 foot.
Okay, Grant. Should have asked that at the beginning. That's my mistake. Okay. Right. Do you have any more questions for Daniel? Jonathan?
My only other question is, do you think you might have exaggerated when you say that I did a Hollywood style?
No, I think that's not a fair question. That's subjective. It's not. You're winging it. Okay. Right. Do you have any further questions? Is that?
No, I don't know. I'm fine.
Okay. Do either of you have witnesses you'd like to bring in? And there's no limitation on the number of witnesses, so we can keep on going, so long as they're not kind of repeating themselves the whole time. No?
No witnesses.
No witnesses.
No, I haven't got any witnesses, no.
Okay. Now it's our turn to ask some questions. So who would like to ask questions first? Fire away.
Well, although they're not bringing witnesses in, Jonathan, did you have a by person?
Yeah.
And were they feeding you information while you were at the wheel?
Yeah, they were sat, as we were saying at the wind, they were sat up near the mast on the rail, and so they had a really good view, for example, of the distance of which we passed the stern of Blue Horizon.
So were you taking their guidance, or you made the decision independently?
I made the decision myself. Yeah, so I was stood up helming, so I could really have a good gauge of the distance in front of me to the boat, and I made the call and to when I needed to bear away. Yeah, it was me that was this kind of constant assessing that collision.
Okay, thank you.
Jonathan, at any point did you maintain a constant course, or at any point did you head up or bear away on your approach to Daniel?
It was pretty constant. Yeah, I would say very constant. The wind wasn't very shifty. Of course, I was making very, very slight alteration. Of course, just sailing on the telltales and the headsail, but yeah, I wasn't it was no significant head up or bear away that would have made it difficult for him to judge.
Thank you.
You're on mute, Emma.
I'm muted. For some reason I went mute there. That's probably a good thing for society. My question is, Jonathan, if you had, in your view, if you had continued sailing without bearing away, where would you have hit Daniel's boat?
By my estimate, I initiated the bear away when I was about half a boat length back from him, and I was still pointing at midships. So I think I would have struck him somewhere on a quarter, maybe a meter or a meter and a half from the stern. Yeah.
Okay, my next question for you, Jonathan, is if you saw this situation developing, why did you think you would continue on and only bear away? I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying, why would you carry on and bear away only at half a boat length if you thought you were going to hit the other boat, if you were pretty confident?
Yes, I mean, obviously, I don't want to protest him for breaking a rule if he didn't break it. I wanted to give him as much chance as possible to maybe he had judged it correctly. It was quite fine. I wanted to give him the chance to make it across. So I really wanted to make sure that I only initiated that action at the last possible moment, so that it would, I could sort of justify that, I didn't take that avoiding action until the last possible, until it became clear that there really was going to be a collision and he wasn't going to do anything else, like luff up or whatever.
Okay. Do we have any further questions for Jonathan or Daniel? Okay. This, gentlemen, is the point where you get to sum up your cases. You don't need to go through everything, but you just sum up the cases and maybe refer to some rules that you think might apply. We'll give both of you a chance. You've had chances to ask questions, so this is your summing up bit. And then what will happen is we'll pack you off out into the waiting room. You can have some more of your pint, Daniel, and then we'll invite you back when we've made a decision. All right? So, Jonathan, you're the protestor. If you'd like to sum up your case, please.
Yeah, no problem. So, as I said, I was doing 6 or 7 knots in a 30-foot cruiser. So I'm not as manoeuvrable as a little laser. I believe that at the point at which I took the decision to initiated avoiding action, it was clear to me at the helm that there was a substantial risk of collision. I had reasonable apprehension of a collision at that point at which I bore away. Passing within a metre of the stern kind of, for me, again, validates the fact that there was that risk of collision had I not borne away. I think I'd reiterate my view that, it was a misjudgment by Blue Horizon that he could cross clear ahead and that he's infringed Rule 10 on that basis.
Okay, thank you. Daniel, would you like to sum up your case, please?
Yep, so I was coming in on port, probably spotted him 5, 6, 7 boat lengths back, and started monitoring the situation at that point. And as I say, transit was constantly changing with him sliding further and further back on that transit. And I believe if he hadn't altered course, he would have passed 3-4 meters behind me. And that transit would demonstrate that he was not on a collision course with me. So I believe that his maneuver was unnecessary.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to leave the room for a short while, please. Cool. Okay. So who comes in at this stage? Jury Secretary and Irish Sailing coming in, or what do we do now? Do our deliberation?
Deliberation now, I presume, yeah.
Okay.
Is that okay, Chris?
Yes, please. So we just record the normal, obviously we can edit this bit out, but we'll just record the normal deliberation as you come to an answer.
Okay. This is the bit where we change shirts and confuse them.
You're doing great so far.
Okay, I'll put on a hat or something. All right. Okay. Sometimes I've seen this done before. If a jury chairman has asked me the question, or asked the rest of the panel a question, if you had 3 seconds to make a decision, what would it be? Who wants to go first on that one?
I would say that Yellow Peril was correct in it was on a collision course and had to avoid.
Yeah, I'd port starboard. I'd go with the yellow.
Okay. Right. I agree with you for what it's worth. And there was one bit that didn't kind of fit in properly for me in that Blue Horizon at one stage. He was going to pass ahead, and it was going to be he would have been approximately 5 meters ahead. And then in his summing up, he said he was going to be 3 to 4 boat lengths ahead. So
Yeah,
he's really not giving us much to go on in terms of either his knowledge of how long his boat is or his memory of the distance at the time. So if we assume that they're 30 feet, 6 meter boats, so he's gone from 5 meters up to 24 meters possibly. So that really stuck for me. So I think we have Blue Horizon has broken Rule 10, and we could also go back to World Sailing Case 50, which is if there's a reasonable apprehension of the starboard boat hitting the port boat, then the starboard boat is in the right. So we might refer to that on the form as well. Who's writing up this form? That was okay, very good. So what we'll do is
I am writing the form.
Okay. As we go along, I guess we should be writing the facts found at the time.
Yes.
And then then it's really simple to just regurgitate it when the protester and the protestee come in. So
yes.
Do you want to read out, Rachel, what you've written in terms of facts found, and then we can add or subtract. Probably not add very much. Seems like
yes. So I put Blue Horizon and Yellow Peril were sailing upwind. Blue Horizon was on port on a close hauled course. Yellow Peril was on starboard on a close hauled course. That's as far as I've just got.
Okay. I might start off this as well with adding in the sea state and the wind.
Yeah.
So maybe at the top, because they both agreed that as well. And that could be relevant. If it was a lot windier, it would be relevant, of course, because if they only passed a half a boat length apart in 30 knots of breeze, it might be a bit more serious. But in this case, it's not so serious. But it's good to put it in, I think.
Well, I think terrible as I am at mathematics, but I agree with you around there was concern around the boat lengths and number of meters. So when we started working out the facts on the size of their boats, that's where Blue Horizon there was a bit too much variance then between. I saw him 5 to 6 boat lengths, then it went down to 5 or 6 meters the time I had passed him. It wasn't all adding up.
So then the question is, when we're writing down distances or boat lengths apart, how do we decide what those distances are, or do we refer to them? I think we have to refer to something, and I think the more believable set of facts came from the protestor, from Yellow Peril, who reckoned that they would be 1 meter apart. So I don't know. Do we agree that that's a fact? Well, let's take it back, actually. So we've described the two of them going along on opposite tacks, close hauled. We can say that at how many boat lengths away did Blue Horizon saw Yellow Peril? So
Blue Horizon said that he started tracking, keeping an eye on Yellow Peril at I think was it 5 to sorry, 60 meters, because he said 5 to 6 boat lengths away. He said he was 5 to 6 boat lengths away, which to him, he thought he was well clear. So you're talking there 60 odd meters. And yet at that point earlier, we had what the Yellow Peril described as he was starting to get concerned. 5 to 7 seconds he bore off.
Yeah. So
And
Yellow
hail.
Peril said his initial hail was at 2 boat lengths away, and there was no course change. He then hailed again, and then at half a boat length away, he was pointing at the midship, and that's when he bore away and changed his course to duck behind.
Okay, so how do you want to write those facts up?
So I will put that Yellow Peril hailed at 2 boat lengths away. There was no course change. Yellow Peril hailed again at half a boat length away. Yellow Peril was pointing at the midship and just took avoiding action by easing the main to duck behind Blue Horizon.
And also at that point, I think, Emmett, you asked Blue Horizon, did they agree with regard to the hail? And actually he did agree, but he said he didn't understand why Yellow Peril was hailing him.
So what's that going to tell us? Does that add anything to these facts, or what do you think?
It's an ambiguity in that if he was clear on his case, he could have said, yes, I heard the hail, but I was 5 boat lengths away. Not, yes, I heard the hail, I agree, but I'm not sure why he was hailing me. So it just adds to the ambiguity, maybe less of a fact, but he agreed that he had heard the hail. So he equally had time to think about, oh, maybe is this going to be close or not close? But he certainly heard the hail.
Okay, we want to write that up in some shape of a fact then, Rachel. What about something along the lines of...
Because equally to have heard the hail and 12 knots, 230 footers, they must have been pretty close.
Yeah, which leads it to, I believe Yellow Peril more, even more now. So we could say, and we might not write it down, we could say that at, what was it, 2 boat lengths that he hailed? 3?
Yes, 2.
So at 2 boat lengths he hailed, and the protestee acknowledged that he had heard this. Could say that. So that then gives when we're explaining it to the 2 people, they knew where they were. The protestee knew where they were. We acknowledge that. So something along those lines, perhaps. And then, so that was at 2 boat lengths, and the port boat didn't change course. What have we written to describe it not changing course?
I put there was no course change from either boat.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Yellow Peril hailed again. So I think that's quite important in that time that actually there was 2 hails.
Yes.
And then I've gone to at half a boat length away, which is when I put at half a boat length away, Yellow Peril eased main and bore away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, he's saying he was half a boat length to the midships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we should put in bore away to avoid collision.
Okay, yeah. To avoid collision.
And what happened next? So we could say, because we're believing Yellow Peril's evidence a little bit more than Blue Horizons, we could say that Yellow Peril passed astern of Blue, passed a half a boat. What was it? Sorry, 1 meter. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So Yellow Peril passed astern of Blue Horizon 1 meter apart, something like that. You can, whatever you want to write.
Yeah.
And then they didn't say what happened after that, but they did actually at the very beginning because nobody took a penalty.
Yes,
So-
that's correct. Yeah.
So we could say, we don't have to mention anything about the hail of protests or anything because we've already established that the protest is valid. So this is really just a physical thing as opposed to shouting and screaming. So we can say that you can just say no boat, neither boat took a penalty.
Yeah.
And neither boat retired. That's probably, maybe we don't write we'll leave that in. So then we have, so we've got facts found, and then we have to decide what are the rules that apply.
So, rule 10.
Yeah. Rule 10. Okay. And should we refer to the case, or how do you think we should do that in a protest?
I think we don't need to refer to the case, and that I think the rule 10 covers it, I would say.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah, I wouldn't write it down on the thing because it's only asking for a rule that applies. But I would refer to it in describing to the two of them that we referred to. I was going to say ISAF, World Sailing Case 50, and I have it on my screen here, so I can read out the sentence in that applies, just to back it up. But it's not a rule really, right? Well, it's not a rule that we're going to write down now. We could if we wanted to. Some people do, some people don't. And then our decision. What's our decision?
Oh, indeed.
So, Blue Horizon broke rule 10 by not keeping clear of the starboard boat.
Yeah, that's the rule that applies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what are we going to do to either of them? So Yellow Peril is disqualified. Sorry, Blue Horizon is disqualified.
Blue Horizon.
Better get that right.
Get the right one.
Blue Horizon is disqualified, and I would put in Blue Horizon is disqualified from race, whatever it is. Because, sometimes scorers need all the information because they're busy people. They need to know right down the bottom of this. What is this? Sometimes the protestors' handwriting is not good at the top of the form, and you just about work out what race it is. So it's sometimes
race 1.
And the day, because sometimes we've seen where it's Saturday, it's Sunday, and they still refer to it. It's Sunday race 1. Well, no, that might have been race 4.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so are you happy then when the two gents come in, Rachel, that you're going to read out the facts found?
Yeah.
Rules that apply and our decision. Okay, great. Hello, jury secretary, come in. Hello.
Hello?
Okay, you may invite the two parties in, please.
Okay, we'll get them in now.
We're on the way.
Hello, gents. You finished your beer, Daniel?
I wasn't drinking beer, I was just drinking squash.
I'm not sure about that. Okay. Now, Rachel is going to read out the facts found, conclusions, rules that apply, and our decision. So if you, again, just like at the beginning, if you don't understand what we're doing or you want Rachel to go over a point again, just stick up your hand and say, would you mind repeating that? Okay, Rachel.
Yes. So Blue Horizon and Yellow Peril were sailing upwind in 12 knots of wind. Blue Horizon was on port on a close full course. Yellow Peril was on starboard, also on a close full course. At 2 boat lengths away, Yellow Peril hailed starboard. This was acknowledged. There was no course change from either boat. Yellow Peril hailed again. At half a boat length away, pointing at Blue Peril's midship, Yellow Peril eased the main and bore away to avoid a collision. Yellow Peril passed the stern of Blue Horizon at 1 metre apart. Neither boat took a penalty or retired. We believe that Blue Horizon broke Rule 10 by not keeping clear of Yellow Peril. We have therefore decided that Blue Horizon is disqualified from race 1 on the 18th of May.
Okay, so that's the decision, and we're just going to give you a bit of information about how we also found this. We referred to World Sailing Case 50, which more or less says that if there's doubt in the starboard tacker's head that he's going to avoid hit you, then he bears away, and the port boat is disqualified. So the onus is clearly on the port boat in such a case. So you can read that later on. So there we are. You can shake hands. We'll all shake hands. Everybody shake. Okay.